The Confederate lines around Charleston are just too strong to be throwing manpower at it. Now here's where the new technology comes in. By 1863, we got a whole new type of cannon in service. It's called a rifled cannon. And the inside, the barrel is rifled. It's look like it's got a little corkscrew cut down the inside. And it fires a bullet-shaped projectile. Okay? So, simple aerodynamics, firing something bullet-shaped, it's coming out of the barrel, spinning like a football. So it's going to go straight, and it's going to go far, and it's going to hit hard. Whereas an old round cannonball would just loft through the air, wobble, and sometimes go a little bit off course, and it's not going to hit its target with a too tremendous force. Often you're relying on the size of the cannonball to do the damage. But these bullet-shaped projectiles and the rifled cannons, they're going to do some significant damage once you start hurling them against structures. Now, this old boy over here, 1.5 mile range, the biggest Columbiad of the old type of cannons, 2 miles. If you get 2 miles with those guns, you're doing good. A rifled gun can shoot 5 to 6 miles. Okay, so you more than doubled your distance. Now you have the opportunity, if you've got a troublesome city or enemy position, to launch a long-range bombardment of them. You didn't have to get up close to them to hit them anymore. You could be 5 to 6 miles back. So this is the plan for Charleston. Get close enough to wallop the heck out of them. And Union troops moving up the coastline. They're heading for Morris Island, which is right behind us, to capture it and use it as a platform to lay siege to Charleston. The whole summer of 1863 was bloody fighting over this island. How many of y'all have seen a Civil War movie made a few years back called Glory? Very good, all right. The final battle scene where the 54th Massachusetts is fighting a big Confederate earthwork. That is part of the fighting to capture Morris Island. That final battle scene of that movie took place about a mile over that way on Morris Island. Okay, well, the Union troops did prevail, pushed the Confederates off the island, set up the new gun batteries, and let Charleston Harbor have it. Folks, because of the siege of Charleston, which is the summer of 1863 to very early 1865, this is the longest siege of the Civil War, and Charleston still holds the distinction of being the most bombarded city in North America. This is much longer than Vicksburg or Petersburg, the 2 other famous sieges of the Civil War. So they're firing from Morris Island and hitting the city. Now, again, this is going to be a new type of bombardment because war is turning ugly. Civil War, you know, at the beginning, you still had that gentlemanly way of conducting war. The armies clashed. You didn't mess with the civilians around you. Remember at the first land battle of the Civil War up in Virginia, the armies were clashing on the field, and there were picnickers on each side of the battlefield. Okay? By the time you get to 1863, it's not so nice anymore. This is a bombardment of a civilian population. There are civilian casualties inflicted in Charleston. After a while, the civilian population is weary of this. They might have lost family members, lost their property. They pack up and leave. The civilian population of Charleston generally flees inland. And as the war progresses, the Confederate Army population here shrinks also. Okay? Now, once they start firing on the city and Fort Moultrie and Fort Sumter, those bullet-shaped projectiles are packed with gunpowder, and they have a fuse in the nose. So when they come in, they're going to hit, spark that powder, and explode. So not only the impact damage you're having, the explosion damage, which is blowing huge chunks out of the wall. And considering that the height of the siege, the Union batteries are hitting this place 500 times a day. By 1864, the upper part of the fort looks like a big block of Swiss cheese. It's got holes shot all through it, and the upper part starts to collapse downward. Okay? Now, as it's collapsing downward, it's covering up the bottom portion. So what we're in now is original. It got covered up by all the upper part collapsing downward. And here's the key to the Confederate Army holding this fort, holding this island while it's getting knocked down around them. The bottom gun rooms are getting buried intact, so all these bottom gun rooms turn into the perfect bomb shelters and tunnel systems for the Confederate Army holding this island. And they're going to hold it. They're not going to give it up. They're going to fight to the last man. because Fort Sumter was not only important strategically, but symbolically, because remember, this is the place where the fight for Southern independence began, and it would destroy morale all across the South if folks heard that Fort Sumter had fallen, okay? So this place cannot be surrendered, folks. They're going to fight to the last man, and the Union Army is just going to continue to knock it down day by day. But there's up to 400 Confederates living in these buried gun rooms around the fort, so there's plenty of manpower in here. But eventually, time takes a toll on that too. As we enter 1865, Charleston looks like a shattered ghost town. There's not that many civilian folks left, a little bit of Confederate Army left. Just skeleton crews in the forts out in the harbor. And then let's put the icing on the cake here. Now, Charlestonians hear that a massive Union Army of over 60,000 men is heading this way, coming up out of Georgia, and this is led by a Union general that for some reason he's still well not liked in some parts of the South. You know who he is, right? Okay, William Tecumseh Sherman. Now, for Charlestonians to hear this, it's like saying a plague of locusts is about to descend upon them. Blue-coated locusts at that, okay? So there is not enough people to stand up against Sherman's army. They're going to come in like a steamroller. And face it, the strategic importance of Charleston Harbor had withered on the vine some time ago. Blockade runners were still getting in up to the summer of 1863. After that, it went downhill. And nothing's getting in 1865. So Charleston has to be written off as a casualty of war. Okay? So it is evacuated in the middle of February 1865. To see the U.S. flags flying over Charleston like 2 months before General Lee surrenders up in Virginia. And there's a little joke in historical circles in Charleston. We never say that Charleston surrendered. It did not. Charleston never surrendered to any Union Army, folks. And that is an accurate statement. We don't use the S word here. It was evacuated. Doesn't that sound better? It's a tactical retreat. Right? Okay. So that's how Fort Sumter got destroyed. Now, because it took the round cannonball hits at the beginning, the fort was not heavily damaged during the 36-hour bombardment that started the war. The interior buildings is what took all the damage. They were vulnerable. But the fort still standing strong, 50 feet tall, and would up until the summer of 1863. Oh, one thing, we got to dispel one of the biggest myths of the beginning of the Civil War here. Remember the range, as I told you, of the old guns, 1.5 miles, 2 miles? Then why do you persistently hear that Confederate cannons in Charleston, over 3 miles away, actually fired on Fort Sumter on the morning of April 12, 1861? Folks, it's out of range. It never happened. It's a bunch of baloney. The Confederate batteries that fired on this fort are on these opposite islands. Sullivan's Island's over here. That's a little over a mile. The north end of Morris Island is less than a mile over here. It's very close. And Fort Johnson on James Island is just over a mile this way. It's all within range. You're not going to fire at a fort just to see your cannonball go kaplunk in the water halfway out. Okay? So forget about Charleston at the beginning. I got a big question to wrap this up, folks, because I want you to understand why the Civil War. What is the sparking agent that caused the Confederates to open fire on this fort at 4:30 in the morning on April 12, 1861? We all know that. 4:30 in the morning, April 12, 1861, but why? Why on that date? Why at that time did the Confederates open fire on the fort? Anybody want to take a stab at it?
Because the fort was about to be resupplied.
Very good. He got it right off the bat. Thank you, sir. There are U.S. Navy ships bearing reinforcements and supplies due to arrive that afternoon. Okay? Now, that's April. That's April. And the dispute over Fort Sumter started at the end of December 1860. Okay? So South Carolina left the Union February, part of the Confederacy. You're having this ongoing logjam of the U.S. Army being here, and the folks all around don't want them out here.